When I was shown spirit, it was a lady coming down the stairs with no legs and just floating. The first time I saw it, and I kind of looked and I thought, oh. But it had a peaceful energy with it. I didn't feel threatened or anything like that. When I go into meditation now, I go into the darkness. I don't go in for any specific reason. I just go into that darkness to feel my body inside, not outside. Because you get different sensations within the body. Everybody on this planet is very, very powerful. They've just got to find that themselves, and you have to start asking the question, because we are all equal, we are all one. We've been conditioned because we're different colour skin, different ways of speaking, that everything is outside, and it's not. We're all the same.
So what do you think about reincarnation?
I believe if you haven't learnt your lessons from another life, they'll come back up in this life.
So when you say another life,
people have the answers within.
So, Elaine, so when we first met, I didn't know what a medium was.
Okay.
I was literally told by a friend what a medium was literally a few days before that, or I think it was a week. So I was still trying to grasp my mind around it. And coming from a Christian background, especially an African Christian background, I think my beliefs of anything outside of Christianity or the normal spirituality as I knew it was almost not ridiculed, but I wasn't allowed to think about it. Yeah. And I know that I'm not the only person, and I know that there's a lot of people also that don't know what and who, you know, someone who's a medium is and what they can do and what they're about. Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of people who probably also think a certain way about all of that, especially from other religious backgrounds. What do you think about that?
Spirituality is within all of us. It's not a religion. It's a way of life. So I would take religion out of it. It's just a part of life. And the energy, it's about energy. It's about communication, also with yourself. And until you find yourself, and this is everybody on the planet, this isn't just me, you will be able to communicate with those that have passed over. This is nothing special. I really need to stress that. Because if I sat here and said to you it's really special for me to contact the spirit world, I would be telling you a lie. And then you would be reaching and reaching and reaching for that when you know you've got it within. Do you understand what I mean? As in, like, people, they kind of, and it does come from an ego and from a perspective of somebody that's kind of very closed off. And I do know that everybody on this planet is very, very powerful. They've just got to find that themselves. And you have to start asking the questions, you know, because we are all equal. We are all one. And I think we've been conditioned to, because we're different colour skin, different ways of speaking, that everything is outside, and it's not. We're all the same. Really, we come from the same place. We just have different names for it. And I think that's where we make the mistake, really, of thinking we can get something outside when it's all within. You know, and I do say to a lot of people, all your answers are within. Right. You can get some perspectives from outside that will make you think, but it really is in here. But you have to do that work and take the layers off and the conditioning.
Let me just go back to what you said about everybody has the potential, or, you know, being able to do what you do.
Yeah.
I think some people will definitely say, well, how am I supposed to do that? Yeah. You know? So, yeah, the question is how? What would you tell someone after they've heard that they can do that? What would be the first steps?
First steps would really be to sit in a circle where you've got somebody to show you the way, how to feel energies. Because they're only teaching you what you already know, but you don't understand it. Because you're talking to yourself all the time in your head, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, you're doing that all the time, and a lot of the times it's a battle, isn't it? Shall I do this? Shall I do that? And it's knowing the difference between what energy it is, if it's a higher energy. Because if it's a higher energy, it'll always be peaceful. It'll always be calm. You might not understand it if you're asking a question, but then that's when you've got to have trust, isn't it? And it's kind of going into that quiet place within yourself, and a circle is meditation, and you're sitting in a group of people, and you've got like the teacher, if you like, showing you the way, but you're doing all the work. It's not the teacher, she's just showing you what's already there, and you're tapping into that. And there's layers of that. It's not going to come straight away, but what does come straight away? You've got to have that time. You've got to learn. You've got to take the time out. Some people might learn quicker than others to do it. But it doesn't matter, does it? Really, in truth. You get there when it's time, when it's your time. But it is there. If I said it wasn't, I'd be lying to you. And I'm not in the habit of doing that. I tell the truth, no matter what. So, and I can only say that because I've already experienced it. And as a child, experiencing, feeling spirit and seeing them, not all the time. Because as a child, you're looking around and you're thinking everything's normal, and you're seeing somebody, and then you go and tell your parent, and then they're kind of, because they're getting scared, because it's never happened to them. And you kind of start to keep it in because you don't want to scare people. But I can only speak from my perspective. When I was shown spirit, it was a lady coming down the stairs with no legs and just floating. And I kind of looked the first time I saw it, and I kind of looked and I thought, oh. But it had a peaceful energy with it. So it wasn't, I didn't feel threatened or anything like that. Obviously, there is energies out there that you can feel threatened by, but you always put that protection up.
Let me go back to meditation, because you mentioned meditation kind of being the gateway or the practice to being able to have, communication with, let's say, the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
Again, I think meditation is something that a lot of people have so many different opinions about, or they don't understand it. And I still think this majority of the world don't understand meditation. And I'm still new to it myself and still trying to learn it. As you said, there's different levels of meditation. What would be your kind of explanation of what meditation is? And some people think meditation is sitting there quiet and silent. Some people think it's just, breathing and just being aware of your toes and your hands and stuff. What is your understanding of what meditation is?
I can only go back to when I first went into it, and then, because obviously I've grown at the time. So when I first went into it, I went in to just find peace and just kind of try and switch off the mind. But when you try and do something, your mind goes even worse, doesn't it? And it's like practice. Breathing helps you to get there. So every time you have a thought, you breathe into that thought, and it kind of subsides, and it'll go naturally. There's another way of doing it. You can leave your thoughts there, because they do come and go. They don't always stay. The energy flows in and out. It'll only keep coming if you keep following the thoughts. So if you kind of breathe into it, it's whatever works for you. There's a different way of doing it for different people, because some people meditate when they're at the gym with their eyes open.
Okay.
You can get creative ideas from that. And it's the same thing. From daydreaming as well, and you kind of switch off, you become unconscious, don't you? And you think, oh, where did I go for that 5 minutes?
Right.
So, and it's awareness, so you have to be very aware of your thoughts, but know that not to follow them. But do it with peace and ease, not like, I have to do this, I have to do that. Because if you have to do anything, it's going to create that energy that's going to make you frustrated. So it's just being there and sitting with yourself, even with the thoughts there. And that takes practice. When I go into meditation now, I go into the darkness. And there's... I don't go in for any specific reason. I just go into that darkness to feel my body inside, not outside, because you get different sensations within the body. So it's kind of coming. It's like a journey, isn't it? Some people expect to meditate and they'll get it straight away. Well, you can't, because it doesn't work like that. It might do for some people, but that doesn't mean you're not doing anything wrong. We're all individuals. We all have different ways of doing things. Like some people in my circle, they might like to open their eyes instead of closing their eyes. You have to feel comfortable, and that's why I say there's, when you teach, there's no good dictating to someone how it should be done, because it might not be comfortable for them. You've got to find your own comfort that can just show you the way.
So would you say that when you're communicating with spirit, are you in a meditative state, or how does it work for you?
Before I start work, I will open up my chakras, and I will ground myself, and then I'll put the intent there to communicate with the spirit world, and be open to receiving, because every time I sit to do a reading, it's... I can't predict. I just sit there and let them come through. So I can't always say who's going to come through. So it's kind of letting go, and just getting yourself prepared for what you're about to do. But we do that with everything, don't we? We prepare ourselves, we put the intent there, and then we have to let go of it. So then the energy will just flow. Some people will hear spirit. Some people will see spirit. Some people will just know. And it's working on all those senses as well. And spirit are quite funny, actually, because you think you're going to work a certain way, and then bang, they do it another way. So you have to always be open. So, because you never know. You never know. And it's always an experiment as well when you sit and give a reading. Because some people you might not be able to read for. It has happened a couple of times with me because they're very closed off. But we found a way to open them up energetically. Asking their higher self for permission, because obviously they've come for a reason. But I've had to learn that on the way. There is some people that are very, very closed off, and this can be subconscious, not conscious.
Yeah. So when you say we, do you mean you and their higher self?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I'm working from my higher self as well. And that's, I've had to be on a journey to get there. So, yeah.
Okay. Let me just take it back to, say, when you were young. I believe you said you're not special or gifted in a way, or would you class yourself to a certain level gifted, or is it something that you're saying that you've practiced and kind of built upon?
I wouldn't call it a gift, like I said, because I think then you're taking it away from other people, and that's not the truth, because it's there for everybody. Just depends if you want to go there. If you want to learn that. Some people don't. Some people have come here just to experience life and have fun, and for me, spiritualism is a way of life, and I would feel lost without it, because I do believe that everyone on this planet is searching, and all they're doing is searching for themselves.
Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support by simply clicking on the link above. You can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love, and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you.
That's exactly what they're doing. So when you do search for yourself, you find your intuition and you will communicate. It's the way it is.
Okay, so back to when you were young. Take me to kind of that first moment that you realized that something was happening beyond the physical for you as a child, right?
Yeah.
What was that moment?
I can't really put my finger on it because it just happened and I just knew. I always knew when I walked into a room something had happened before I got in there. I couldn't tell you what because obviously I'm a child, but I can feel energy. Right. And I could feel if somebody was feeling down or if they were, sad or depressed and, So I always had that. And that was never taken away from me through conditioning. But all children have that. But through conditioning, it can be taken away. So I didn't experience not that being took away from me, if you like. So that was like just feeling the energy. I didn't know as a child what it was because I had no one to show me or teach me. It's only now as an adult I actually know what it was. And then actually seeing spirit, seeing nice energies and not so nice energies. It was a way of life. So it was only the fact that when I actually shared it to my parents that I realised, oh God, I shouldn't be saying this because they're obviously not picking up on it. So I always felt different. And then I always questioned it and then I just kind of just left it in the back burner I would know things and I would feel things, but I wouldn't say anything, so I just kept it to myself. Because there was no one there to give me guidance on it.
I think a lot of people can relate to that because, I think even myself at some point, I would think or see or hear something and think, nah, I must, that's crazy. Yeah. And I'm sure there's many people who experience these things and they just kind of label themselves as, it's crazy or they're hallucinating or just something other than probably what it actually is. And then it gets put on the back burner, gets forgotten about or put aside and they kind of try to come back to reality to where they understand. And, I guess the more they do that, the more they will continue kind of suppressing the abilities of doing that. Yeah. But for you, once you kind of picked up all of these things, what happened? How did you transition to keeping up with it, to develop it? What did your parents say? What did they think? Because a lot of people will also say, I'm not going to tell my parents that. They're going to think I'm this. I'm not going to tell my friends that. So
see,
what happened?
I never really cared what people thought about that. Being honest, I didn't really think, I did think I shouldn't say anything, but I didn't really think about it too much where it was like suppressed in that way. I forgot about it, until it came again, or I got feelings again. We all have them sensations where we get a feeling. We know something's going to happen. We don't know what it is, but we have that sensation in the body, don't we? That's your intuition. That's your gut. And then, I think as well from my parents, my dad would get very angry because he was really scared. My mum never really said anything. She just kind of looked and she said, oh, don't be silly, or, especially if I seen something that wasn't nice. So it wasn't really talked about. I'd just say it and then you'd either get into trouble for it or you just carry on. So it wasn't something that was continuous, if you know what I mean, because in the end I just kept it to myself. Right. So,
but you were born up a Catholic.
Yeah.
How did that correlate for you? I'm sure, I don't know too much about, how Catholics go about things, but how'd that correlate with you or resonate with you even? You know, having probably a more enhanced connection with spirit, and then religions tend to kind of have their boxes.
Yeah.
How did you work around that?
I guess as well, even as a child, I would only listen to something that rang true to me because I was questioning everything. And a lot of the times when I had to go to Mass on a Sunday and then confession every other Saturday, I used to think, this is boring. There's no, you know, I don't understand it, you know.
Substance.
All these things that you have to do before you get married, and you know, if you're in an abusive relationship you still carry on, and I thought, no, that's wrong. You can't do that to somebody because you're putting them in a box. And I didn't want to be in a box, so I'd only take what I wanted. I learned a lot of morals. I learned, you know, to be thankful for things and things like that. So it put me in a good stead, you know, for life. Sometimes I come home from Mass and saying to my dad, I want to be a nun when I get older because of, you know, I was very humble. And there was a lot that I could take, but there was a lot I couldn't take. And my mum and dad never went to Mass, but we still had to go. And I used to think, well, that's not right. You know, so I questioned that. So, but I do get why they sent us because it was discipline. And we do need that in life, discipline. But not to an extent that's going to be detrimental. And so you have to kind of, it's only later on in life I realised that no wonder I wasn't listening then. Although our religious education was my best subject. So I did listen, but a lot of it I didn't take on board.
Yeah.
But it did help me in a lot of ways.
I mean, reflecting back to kind of how I was brought up in Christianity in Nigeria, it's very hardcore. You live by, you know, rules that the church give you. You behave and operate in a certain way that the church tell you. And they shape your mind in a way that you look at things as well completely. So, you know, when I started questioning things, I was bouncing right and left between what I was questioning, what I've been taught, and thinking. But I think for me, the fact that I was questioning it made me probably keep moving forward, because I'd be like, I wouldn't question it if I wasn't supposed to question it. Why am I questioning these things? It was difficult, but there was moments where I had to be brave. I needed courage to step beyond that and see what's on the other side of, you know, the conditioning that I had. And yeah, there is no problem as such to religions as long as it's serving you, like you said, and allowing you to be your higher self. I think I also found some inconsistencies in some of the teachings or beliefs or mindsets. You know, the problems that we had was coming from the same place that was also telling us to be better people. So I was like, it doesn't make sense. You're preaching to me every week, but then on every weekend, but then on the week you're the problem. So it really didn't make sense. And I know a lot of people who are in a place as well where maybe they have so much questions for this conversation and anything outside of their religion. So I know that breaking out of that mentality it's an inner work that you have to do. Yeah. And as a lot of us are born into it as well, by the time you get to questioning things, you almost feel like you have to become a completely new person.
Well, you're unlearning, aren't you, what you've always known, and that's a hard pill to swallow, because you think, you know, your peers, they know more than you, when, you know, sometimes you can know more than them. And that can be hard, especially if it's your parents, you know, or the church, like you said, you know, a priest or whoever should know. But they don't, because they've been conditioned to, haven't they? So it's always good to be open and ask the question. And children, they're so innocent. You know, they'll ask you things and you think, oh, you know, it make you question as well. So, but they're coming from innocence, aren't they? So you'll learn a lot from a child.
So being a medium and being able to connect with source.
Yeah. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I would think that, you know, naturally, and I think maybe other people would think this, that you would know everything. And it's interesting to know that you also have hard relationships and go through things just like everyone else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's talk about some of those relationships and see, because I would have thought, you know, when I'm reflecting on some of my situation, I always think, if I knew this and if I knew that. But then, you know, when I speak with you, you help me know those things and higher things. So I have this perception, and maybe other people, that you might know everything. So, but you do have relationships that, you know, are not
just a normal
Joe
not in the blogs, what you want to call it. I'm just a normal person. Because, I mean, like I said, I've always been able to communicate with spirit, but at different levels, at different points in my life. When I started the healing journey, which was 2012, my intuition got more and more and more heightened. So I wasn't always at the level that I'm at now, or the level I'm going to be, as you know. So I don't know everything. And I have emotions just like anybody else. And I have to learn as well, because if I knew everything, I wouldn't be on this planet. I am here to learn. And even though I communicate with the spirit world, if there's something they want to teach me and it's for my highest good, I'll be taught. There's nothing special because I can communicate that, you know. And I do say to people, clients that come, I can't tell you everything. I'm only allowed to tell you what you can hear at this moment in time. So, and that goes for me as well. You know, as if when I'm saying communicating with the spirit world about if I've got questions, because I have emotions and that can come into play and it can put a block there. You know, so you're not going to know everything until you change this. You know,
I think most people, at least if you're past a certain age, have probably experienced some kind of heartbreak, and I think that's probably one of the most significant part of most people's character. I think when you go through heartbreak is when you start making changes about the decisions that you made, or how you want to look at things, how you want to have future relationships with other people. Have you been through heartbreak?
Very much so. Because I'm a sort of person that if I put my energy into something, I give 100%. And I've always given 100%, but I've never got 100% back. And a lot of people can say that because it's the truth. But until you understand yourself, then you're not going to be able to understand other people, and other people are not going to be able to understand you. So you've got to have an understanding with yourself of what you can cope with and what you can't. And I was one of these, a people pleaser. Well, I wasn't aware of it because I just thought I'm a good person. I'll just, you know, carry on, just going along, you know, and just doing what I'm doing. And I didn't feel I needed to change. But I was brought down to earth with a big, massive bump. And I thought, I don't really want to change, because I do see myself as a caring, nurturing person. And that's not from a place of ego, that's from a place of truth, because I always want people to feel at peace. I know I can't do that all the time. So you're putting a big expectation on yourself. And then people will look at you and have big expectations for what you can do. So what you think is what you attract, you know. So I had to learn that I have to change my mindset and not be so overgiving and too kind, because people have to learn their own lessons in life. So that was very hard for me, and I'm still trying to push through that, because you embody that energy now where you've learned a lesson, and then you've got to change, and then you've got to live your life again. But you've got to make sure that you're not going to learn that lesson again. So that can be a bit out of your comfort zone, isn't it? Because you think, I don't want to change. But I don't really have to change. I just got to be mindful that people can take advantage of you, you know.
I think that's something that I have also had to work on. Helping people just comes naturally. Being kind comes naturally. Being a good person is a lifelong kind of aim. And when it sometimes bites you back, sometimes I do sit down and think, should I just stop being a good person or what? Because it seems like being a good person comes with a lot of Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support by simply clicking on the link above. You can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you. Repercussions that you don't expect to come from doing good, and when I do good from the heart, and I'm sure people that do good in most cases do it from the heart. So maybe it's an expectation that if you do good, you're gonna get good back all the time. And maybe we're thinking about it too transactional rather than a one-way thing, where it's like I'm gonna give, and whatever the outcome is, that is what the outcome is, rather than I'm giving because I'm gonna receive, or I'm giving because I want to receive.
But you do give and receive, don't you? You have to, because
Yeah.
that's how it works, isn't it? 50-50, no matter what relationship you've got. And that's what I've learned. Because if you don't give and take, you're going to get yourself burnt out, and then you're going to blame the other person. So you have to come back home to yourself, and you've got to say, well, I think I've gave quite a lot in this. What am I getting back? Well, I never used to ask the question to myself, well, what am I getting back? Because a lot of the time it was toxicity. And they expected more and more out of me to the point where, to the point where you kind of have to think, you know what, this is a bit much now. I can't juggle all this, and the other person's not pulling the weight. So it's like you have to kind of think, I still want to be a nice person. But when you start to get triggered then, don't you? But this is a subconscious blockage, because subconsciously what you're doing, you're saying, well, the more I give, the more I'll get love. When really, that's a lie you're telling yourself, because it isn't, because the more you give, the more they want. And that's everybody. It's not, sometimes it's not conscious, it's subconscious. It depends on what their beliefs are and what they've took on board from their childhood, because you've got abandonment as well, and that can happen, and you can feel that through life. So you'll do everything you can to stop the other person from leaving, and sometimes you're not even aware of that. So you've got to be very self-aware, and you've got to know your limits, and people will teach you that. They'll actually teach you that if you're very conscious of it. And you have to be conscious of it, because if you're not conscious of it, you'll let it continue, won't you? So you won't have learned a lesson. It's just learning the lesson and creating a new you, if you like, How are you going to do this if it comes again? Because spirit do dangle a carrot in front of you and say, well, if you haven't learned that lesson, we're going to see if you have, if you know what I mean. And they'll bring it back round in a different form. And it'll be down to you then to see whether you've learnt the lesson or not, because it's for your highest good. And it's not because the spirit are cruel or anything like that, but you know, they do call it tough love, don't they? Which I didn't like as a child, tough love. I didn't like that. No. I just wanted to
soft
be,
love.
yeah. But I couldn't. My family background were very, you know, don't sit there and wallow in that self-pity, get up and do this and get up and do that. But it wasn't in a nice way, it was in a very stern way. So I ended up speaking to myself that way. Yeah, and that's what happens. You do speak to yourself. You know, certain things that I would do as a child, and, you know, one of my parents would probably say, why didn't you do it like this? Why didn't you do it like that? How come you haven't been able to do this or that? And I think, well, that's a bit high expectation, because I'm actually tired. But they never saw it like that. You had to keep going. So I lived my life like that, keep going and going and going. So now I'm still, and I'm thinking, am I lazy? You know, but I had to realise that you can't keep giving, you have to learn how to receive. And I wasn't very good at that. I'm learning, I'm embodying that now. And it's made me more peaceful and not like, I'm not reacting to people now, I'm responding. You know, so and you have to look at yourself, are you reacting out of anger, out of sorrow? So I'm very mindful now that I'm acting from a place of peace, whatever the outcome. I'm not attached to an outcome, because I know I'm strong enough for whatever outcome it is.
Do you find that because of the person that you are and the abilities that you have at some point in your life had to take on everybody's emotional baggage and responsibility to keep, you know, either keep them on the right path or keep their minds together? Because for me, being someone that's really trying to develop myself from a mindset and, you know, a physical point of view, I find that every year I add someone to my list who I become responsible for naturally, because, you know, they've come on my path, they're great people, we connect, and I can't be in somebody's life, feel like I know better and not kind of try to help. But that's just me, and I feel like I still have a long way to go to reach the level of kind of being able to have the higher intuition that you have. So do you feel like you've had to have a lot of weight on you mentally?
Yeah. Yes. I had too much high expectations of myself, because that was expected of me as a child. So, like I said, you go into things in that mindset, and then you attract it. So you end up meeting needy people, and that's with friendships as well. But the best way, I mean, I can only say from coming out of that now, I kind of look at it and I think, well, I can show you the way. I can't do it for you. So I can show you how to get there, but you have to do the work. Because I will be honest with you, no one is here to come and save you. You've got to save yourself. And that's the truth. You know, so I have to look at it like that. But look at it in a way, we've all been at certain points of what you see in front of you. And you can just show them, well, I've done it this way. See if that works for you. But yes, sometimes you can go out your way, but you can't do it all the time, because your cup is going to be empty. And you're not going to be able to help anyone with an empty cup. So you have to fill your own cup first. Then you can help. Where I always thought I'd have to burn myself out before I realised, you know, And then even then, sometimes people would think, oh, she hasn't been well, you know, but still ask me for more. And then I thought, no, I can't do this. This is not right. So it's all about you, isn't it? And what, knowing your limits and what you can do and what you can't do. But coming from a place that's kind, not overly kind, because that's too much of a big expectation, isn't it? So you've got to be realistic.
I think that's a big one for me, realizing or being guided to work on myself more or give less.
Yeah.
I didn't know what giving less means. I thought that life was about giving as much as you can, helping as many people as you can at any given moment, as much as you can. So to be guided to retract, that blew my mind. And I'm still trying to come to terms with that. You know, being able to say no and just focus on myself for a bit.
And not feeling guilty.
And not feeling guilty, yeah.
Yeah, but you see, these are all low energies, aren't they? Guilt, sadness, anger.
Right.
And you want to stay in that high vibration. Well, you can't bring those energies with you in a high vibration. So you have to keep yourself in that high vibration. Otherwise, you will lash out with anger or sadness. So you've got to make sure that you're looking after you first, and that is the most important, and that is not selfish. But we are learnt from conditioning that looking after yourself is selfish when it's not, because you can't look after anyone if you're not all right, you know. So you've got to kind of come home and say enough is enough. You've got to be fed up with yourself, really, before you're willing to change, because it's not easy to change. It's a journey in itself to change.
You said there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
Going down the path of life. That's a very interesting statement. I think for everyone, for me, you know, we almost live by this wrong and right. Everything's either wrong or right, you know. Yeah. It's our arguments or our relationship, there's always wrong or right. So when you say there's no wrong or right way, what do you mean by that?
I mean, people are all different, aren't they? So if you're trying to be a certain person for certain situations and different people, because you'll change your energy, won't you? You'll understand that you can be this certain way with this person and that certain way with another person. I know we've all done that. But you have to be yourself, don't you? So it's about not changing yourself. So and you can be adaptable, but not to change yourself to suit other people, if you know what I mean. But because we're learning and we're growing, because what you know now, you wouldn't have known 10 years ago. There's no point looking back 10 years and saying, oh, I wished I'd have known that then. Well, you wasn't meant to, because if you were, you wouldn't have learnt nothing. So there's no right or wrong way, because what you're aware of and conscious of at that moment in time is that's what you go by. You know, so why is it wrong? You can learn from it, but some people never do learn. You know, so I don't feel that it's right or wrong. You know, good and bad. You're not to treat anyone with harm, but obviously there is people out there that do that, but they're the ones that have to judge themselves, because when you go up there, you're the one that judges, because what you've done to another person down here, Spirit will give you the energy of how they felt from your action. So you will be judging yourself. There's no big man in the sky telling you, you know, that you're going to be judged for what you've done, because you're going to feel the energy from the other person. So, and I try to live my life like that now, because why am I going to do it when I go to the other side? I'm going to do it here.
What is the other side?
It's whatever you believe it to be, isn't it? It's an energy. You know, some people pass and they're kind of very closed off, aren't they? And they think there's somebody up there, going to condemn you, and this is the Catholic religion, which is not true. And I've just said you do judge yourself. Spirit world, I don't know the full ins and outs of it. I can only give you what I've experienced, but it's something that you can't comprehend with the physical mind. You just can't. I wouldn't be able to put it into words for you because it's an energy and you feel that energy. And it's like people have different opinions about something, but if you don't feel their opinion in your body, because you have to be in your body to feel it, if you're not feeling it, it isn't happening, is it? You can think something, but if you think it long enough, it'll start to go into the body, and then you'll start to react from that. So it all starts with a thought, and that's why I always say to myself, well, you've got to clean your mind out, haven't you? And think with a positive mindset instead of a low vibration, negative mindset. And that's a journey as well. No matter what you do, it's a journey, and you've got to be patient. And that's what I've learned, and it is the truth.
So what do you think about reincarnation?
You will come to planet Earth to experience life, and it will feel very, very real because you're wiped of all what's the ultimate truth. I believe if you haven't learnt your lessons from another life, you'll learn them, or they'll come back up in this life.
Sorry, when you say another life, I'm asking these questions because these are the questions that people are going to want to know, because they would think, what do you mean by another life, right?
Yeah.
To people, this is life. Some people, this is the only life.
Yeah.
So...
well, you would have experienced being a male, or, if you're a female in this life, you will experience that in another life, what it's like to be a male. And this is why I say, and I know for myself it's the truth, is because people have the answers within. So where is your information come from unless you've lived that life before? So I've gone back into previous lives where I haven't been a very good person. So it's a polarity, isn't it? You experience the good and the bad. What we call good and bad, what spirit would never call good or bad. It's just differences and an experience. But you can say that from a higher perspective. You're not actually down here living, what we're living. So, but we do come here to experience and learn the good times and the not so good times. But you get all your information from past lives. So when you go within, you'll start to feel this information coming up. It'll be just subtle, what you need to learn. And you already know what you need to learn if you look back on your life in this life, because you'll have brought it in from another life. You will have the people around you, you will have had them in another life as well, but not in the same sex scenario. Like you could have been the husband, they could have been the wife. So they'll show you a different perspective on it. So that's kind of mind-blowing for someone that thinks, but that's how deep I've gone.
All right. And does that also relate to animals, or is it a completely different energy? Because some people do believe that reincarnate, you can come back as a dog or cat or something like that. Is that this?
Dogs, cats, everything has a soul.
Interesting.
Everything has a soul. You can communicate with animals through the energy. Obviously, you can't speak in that way, but through energy, you can communicate very easily through energy. But people always think it's just talking with the mouth that you can communicate. Well, you can stand next to somebody at a bus stop and you can feel a vibe. But that's an energy, isn't it? whether it be a nice energy or not a nice energy. It's an energy. You don't always have to speak. You know, you can just feel it through that. Animals is just unconditional love.
Never thought about it that way. What about the animals that want to eat you?
Well, sometimes it depends on what they've been brought in from another life, isn't it, as well? Because you don't know, do you, what their lesson is? You don't know whether their owner has treated them badly. You don't know. So it's kind of asking them kind of questions and finding out, because it's like a child, isn't it? They don't grow up to be not nice people. They've gone through some life challenges. They've either chose to go one way or another, because it is a choice. People say it's not, but it is, because you create your own reality. And that would be hard for some people to grasp, and they'll think, well, I didn't come here to experience that. Well, you did. And that's the truth, because you make the contract before you come.
Well, a lot for people to think about, definitely.
Yeah.
You've spoken a lot about journey and about coming here to learn. So then I guess my question would be, what is your meaning of life? Because, okay, we're learning. It's a journey. Okay, fair enough. It's a journey. And we're learning, but what are we learning for, and what's the journey for? In your perspective.
Well, it's coming back to who you really are, isn't it? Where have you come from? And that's what you're learning. Because you're peeling away, it's like an onion, isn't it? You peel it away, there's different layers, you know, and you've got to get back to the core. And that's what we're here for, is to get back to our own core. And that might take many, many lifetimes to do that. You know, you can't just do it in one lifetime. You've got many, many lifetimes to do that, because there's so much to experience and learn. You know, the good and the bad, what we call good and bad, which spirit wouldn't. You're here to learn. It's a school. But your purpose really is to find out who you really and truly are. And I did say, didn't I? It's something that I cannot explain with the physical. It's an energy.
Yeah.
That's why I say at the start, you don't know how powerful you are, and that's everybody on the planet. But you have to be on the journey of self-discovery, healing yourself from past traumas and unlearning, because every day is a fresh day, you know, and it's only the same day, the same energy as before, if you bring that energy into the next day, you know. So it's like every day you wake up is a new day.
When I think about the world, and I see the dynamics and the disparity between good and bad, so-called, as we know it, and how certain people are being treated and how certain people are maybe monopolizing on the material things and control and stuff like that. Yeah. What is that about?
Well, there's negative and positive, isn't there? There's negative and positive in us. So it's finding that balance, isn't it? But the best thing you can do for anybody is work on yourself. That's the best thing and the healthiest thing that you can do, because that energy ripples out into the world, doesn't it? Same as negative energy. So at the moment, where there is a polarity, isn't there, between good and evil? But that's always been the case. It's always been the case with wars and what have you, you know. But the best thing you can do for that is work on you, because it does ripple out into the world, you know, because you can't take everything what's happening in the world on your shoulders. You're not going to be able to do it. But if you work on yourself, that will ripple out into your family, into your generations, because the cycle isn't going to keep repeating itself, is it? Because you're going to be able to give a healthy perspective to your children, and they're going to do the same to their children. So it's going to ripple out that way, you know. Because you're not only healing yourself, you're healing generations that come before you.
Interesting. So I'm thinking about fate, and I'm thinking about, when we say that you're exactly where you're supposed to be and things are exactly how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I always kind of used to struggle to find the balance between, is this what's supposed to happen? Or, sorry, the level of control I have over what happens and then what is actually supposed to happen. It's something that I'm still trying to figure out. So sometimes I'm thinking, okay, am I exactly where I'm supposed to be based on some of the choices that I've made, which then means I do have control over my life? Because some people struggle with the concept that they're not in control of their life. They're like, no, I want to do this, I want to do that. I wanted to do this, not some higher power, creating my life for me. So when I think about it, I'm like, okay, to what level do I have control or the choices to make? And then to what level is my life kind of written? Because I know, again, people, have struggled with the concept of destiny. They're just like, no. And then some people are like, yeah, I do believe in destiny, and, this is what it's meant to be. So where's the balance or how do you find the balance between the choices that you have control over and the ones that you can say, do you know what, it was just supposed to be?
Well, I think you kind of become in a battle with yourself then, and you start suffering, don't you, when you think in that kind of lack mindset, which is a low vibration, and then you'll attract more low vibrations because you do create your own reality. So you can only go by what mindset you're in at that moment in time when you made that choice. So if you was meant to have known what you know now back then, you would have done it, wouldn't you? So you wasn't meant to know. So it is what it is. So that's where you have to let go of control. Because really, you don't control.
Right. So what you're saying is there is no control.
No, because spirit controls everything, the universe. But you have to be in alignment with it for you to get that control.
So if you're not in alignment...
So if you're not in alignment, it's going to come back distorted. So that's why I always say about healing. Because if you heal yourself, your vibration is higher. And you've got to... That's a journey in itself. So you've got to kind of think, well, what can I do with the mindset I've got at the moment? And what did I learn from the past? But always stay in the here and now. You'll obviously reflect from the past, but don't sink too much into that energy because that can bring you into a low vibration. So you take the lesson, you move forward. And, some people might think, oh, well, I've had a lot of hard lessons. We all have, everybody has, and that's the truth. It's part of the journey. But if you look at it, the past, not with the emotion, with the looking back and thinking, well, what did I learn from that? Because then you're opening yourself up to grow, and you're not going to be stagnant in that energy. So it helps you to lift your vibration. So if you're not in alignment right now, you're not supposed to be, because you've got a bit more learning to do. So that takes away control.
Completely. So we spoke about meditation being one of the practices that helps you kind of start that journey in self-awareness and self-discovery. What other practices, say, do you have, or have you do that you think will help people?
Meditation is one. Self-reflection is another one, but you've got to be totally honest with yourself. You've got to go within and ask these hard questions, things that you probably keep from yourself. Whatever about keeping it from other people is one thing, but keeping it from yourself is like, it's a no-no, because you're living a lie, aren't you? And if you're a truthful person, you've got to not lie to yourself either. So you've got to be brave enough and strong enough to look at yourself, and that takes a lot of guts, and it's not easy. But you've got to be non-judgmental of yourself, because you didn't know what you know now. It's when you know, and then you...
Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support by simply clicking on the link above. You can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you.
To do it from knowing and you still do it, it's like, that's a no-no, isn't it? But if you don't know and you're willing to learn and grow, then you can have that compassion for yourself. And you do need that compassion for yourself, you really do, especially when you're looking at things and think, because you can be very judgmental of yourself and very critical and self-sabotage and all the rest of it, which stops you as well in your tracks. So I've done a lot of self-reflection. I'm still doing that now. And also getting your chakras into alignment as well, because if you're out of balance, everything else outside of you will be out of balance, because it starts from within yourself. You've got to trust yourself. You've got to have that strength, that honesty. And these all come from within. You can't expect it from outside if it's not in here, because it's never going to show you that.
You said chakras, for those that don't know what chakras are, and can you just explain a bit more about chakras? And is there one chakra, two chakras?
There's 7 chakras. Well, there's more than that, but there's 7 chakras in the body.
Right, okay.
You've got the root chakra, which is just below the base of the spine, which is a red colour. Then your root chakra helps you to ground yourself. So if you're out of, and you're feeling not with it in the body and you're too much in the head, you listen to vibrational music, root chakra, which will help you to ground that energy. But that's a journey in itself. You can't expect to just listen to it once and then be cured, because it doesn't work like that. Because sometimes when you're going back and you're healing many lifetimes. It's not just this lifetime. That's how deep it is. Your sacral chakra is just underneath your navel. And that's for your creativity. And if that's out of alignment, then you're not going to get any creative ideas or, any joy for life and things like that. Above that then is your solar plexus, which is just below your rib cage. And that's where you hold your power. And that's where it's your childhood traumas are, and your beliefs. And standing in your own power is very powerful when you do it in the right way. Not in a ego way, but in the right way. Because power is peaceful. It's open. It's not control. That's your solar plexus. Then obviously you've got your heart chakra. If you don't mend your heart chakra, you can make. If your chakras are out of alignment, it can make you very ill, because you do make yourself ill. People 9 times out of 10, if they've had heart attacks, because they've had broken hearts through whatever reason. So vibrational music helps to bring that back into alignment. The throat chakra, which is, you know, where your throat is, that's the colour blue. That would, you can talk to yourself negative as well, and if that's out of alignment, you'll start to get pains, thyroid, you know, it manifests in the body with an illness or, you know, a discomfort. So it can, you know, and obviously you've got your third eye and your crown chakra as well. I mean, I could go into like a 4 or 5 hour discussion with the chakras, but that's basically it. And if they're out of alignment, which they are in a lot of people, it will show an imbalance in your life. So that's part of a healing journey as well, bringing them back into alignment.
So I guess you kind of use that to guide, say, the parts of your energy you need to work on at any given moment.
Yeah, obviously self-reflection, it's all part of it, and it just, whatever works for you. I'm just giving you what I've done and how I've helped and showed people the way. And some people it might not work for, they might do it another way, and that's all good because there's no right and wrong, remember. So, you know, I'd let go of saying, oh, you must do this because this is going to help, because it might not help that person, it might help you another one. You know, I'm not here to help everybody on this planet because it's meant to be shared. There's lots of mediums out there. There's lots of, you know, and it is meant to be shared. So it's only ego that tells you, you know, you're meant to do this and meant to do that. You're meant to just be. If you can help, you can help. But don't base your worth on it. Because then you're heading for a fall, aren't you? And you're going to be suffering. So you have to let go of control.
Talk about control. The people who control the world, I believe, have been, some believe, I believe they communicate with aliens or had like, you know, interactions and stuff like that. And probably a relationship, who knows? What do you think about aliens? Are they real?
Yeah, they exist.
So there
Very
is
much so.
Other beings?
Yeah, there's different beings of light, you know, just because we don't know about them doesn't mean, you know, to judge them, because a lot of them are more intelligent than us. A lot more intelligent. You know, and we can tap into that energy anytime we want, because the universe is within the body anyway, and there's different dimensions within the body. Just depends where you want to go. Do you want to go into a lower dimension, or do you want to go into a high dimension? You know, it's your choice, isn't it? So, you know, as within, so without. So that's kind of very deep. You can go on different levels with that. But yeah, I do work with beings of light when I do my Reiki. You know, and they're very, very intelligent.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And, you know, so some people think we're that special, that we are the only ones. And this is, and I guess they put meaning to it to make themselves and to appreciate life more. So it's like, we are the only ones. And because of that, life is to be appreciated and loved and lived with, you know, fullness. But, which I guess is a nice meaning. But then for those people to find out, actually, we're not the only ones. Then there's a lot more, you know, beings out there, some with bodies, some without. I wonder whether that's going to change their perception of life now.
It depends on what truth you want to know, isn't it, really? If you're able to face it, because it's hard to face the truth. Nobody likes to hear the truth, because when you speak the truth, you see them getting triggered. But that means that there's something within them that needs healing when you're being triggered, because that's your body telling you, oh, I need to work on that. I think it's but if you're meant to have an experience where you don't believe in anything outside of this planet, then you're going to experience it. But I've come here to know the ultimate truth. I'm willing to face it, and I have. Not all of it, because there's going to be more that I'm going to be looking at, because I'm always learning, I'm always growing. But I do want to know the ultimate truth, because I want to be true to me and the people around me. I don't want to be superficial and just surface level, you know. And I do get that when people can't go deep, it's too painful. So I'm not being uncompassionate, because I'm very compassionate, because I've been there, I know. And it takes a lot of courage and strength to do it. But then I don't want to lie to myself, so I have to be honest. So, you know, sometimes when they say you look for too much information, you know, but I'm always open, and I believe that that's the way I want to live my life. There's some people that aren't. They're just quite happy being in that little box. And I never was, and I wasn't built that way when I came here. So I guess I wasn't meant to experience that. But if I was, then that was fine. But I'm not. I have to go with how I feel. And that's everybody.
So the ultimate truth is something that I want to know as well. And even when it comes to diet, I'm still trying to figure out, like, are we meant to eat meat? Are we meant to be more plant-based? Is it a balance of both? Another question I'm sure a lot of people are, you know, trying to figure out. And
yeah. But I think you'll know by your dislikes and what you like.
Who doesn't like meat?
I love meat. I don't feel I've had a dinner if I haven't got a piece of meat on my plate.
That's what I mean.
And I'm very compassionate to animals, but
yeah.
I do like meat. So unless I don't like meat, then I'll stop eating it. But it's by choice, isn't it? And I don't mean to sound unkind when I say that, but there's a reason why you like things, and there's a reason why you don't like things. You've got your own personality. And for someone to dictate to you what you like and what you don't like, and what you should like and what you shouldn't like, is like, that's more dictation, isn't it, and more control. So I kind of, I just go by what I like and what I love, and finding the joy in things, and that's the purpose of life, isn't it? Finding the joy and following your joy, because you can't go wrong then.
Like, so when it comes to that, how much of that is a conditioning from upbringing? I love Nigerian food, but that's also because I was brought up in Nigeria, in a Nigerian household, eating Nigerian food, eating meat.
Yeah.
How much of that is just conditioning? Because you can
know,
condition someone to like something.
Yeah. Well, I was brought up in an Irish family. You know, never and being in a Catholic country, very rarely seen people of different colour of skin. So I wouldn't have the opportunity to try different foods. But when I came here, I loved Jamaican food. Now, I wasn't brought up on that, but I just like it. So was I conditioned to that? So it's what you like and what you don't like, isn't it? So I think when you're going back and looking at things in that depth, you'll take what you like and what you don't like from your childhood anyway, because you're grown, aren't you? So it's like, I kind of let go of that, because I think then you're within a tug of war with yourself. So you'll know what you like and what you don't like. Because I'll try any foods.
Okay, so you have a service pretty much now. You've kind of opened yourself up to be able to speak to other people and help them connect with, their spirit guides and stuff like that. So I can kind of call it a service now.
Yeah.
When it comes to helping people, because I'm sure it comes from a place of wanting to help people, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to helping people, I've always struggled with the concept of monetizing it. Like I can create a business and I'll see it as a business, it's okay. But then like when it comes to, I want to help people, I struggle to make that into a business, if you know what I mean, the concept of it. So how did you find that, like saying, okay, I'm going to start charging people to do readings for them, for example? Or was that quite straightforward for you? You're like, okay, I mean...
Well, I at the start of doing the work I do, I did never charge. Because I felt I was just learning and I was just, and then you can't live on fresh air. It would be nice if we could, because I would do it for free if I could. But obviously, we've got to be realistic. And energy is energy, isn't it? And it's exchange. So, and Spirit have taught me that, money is energy. So, as long as you don't overcharge, I'm quite mindful of that. But then I have to look at myself as well. So it's about balancing it, isn't it? And it's about your time, because you're giving your time as well. It's not just about the service. It's about, you're giving your time. And we'd all do things for nothing if we didn't need money or we didn't need, so yeah, I look at it in a different way, and I had to look at it in a different way, because if I carried on, then who would be paying my mortgage and looking after and putting food in my children's mouths and whatever? So you've got to be realistic.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes sense. Obviously, like you said, the balance of overcharging and it being comfortable and all of that. When it comes to obviously having a family, I think the question is going to be about balance again with, being able to tap into spirit and having the urge to want to do that for your children so you can guide them all the time.
Yeah.
What's that like? Because, again, I would imagine that if I was you, I would probably be just like trying to read everything. You're going out, no, you're not, because this is going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And, how have you managed
don't
to do
forget,
that?
Spirit will only tell you what you're allowed to know at that moment in time. And it is guidance, what Spirit give to clients. And I will say to my daughter sometimes when she asks for a reading, I said, if there's something you don't want me to know, then don't come for a reading. And she'll laugh and she'll go, Mum, you know everything. I said, I don't know everything, because obviously there's things that I don't know. But she's open, and we've got that open relationship, because there's no right or wrong. And I don't say, I'm going to condemn you if you do this, you do that. I'll just say, what did you learn from that? And there's no, you shouldn't have done this, you should. So she feels open to come to me. So she knows that she's not going to get ridiculed for it. So, yeah, and whatever I learn my children. Even the young one. She's 14. She knows all about chakras. And at one point I didn't think she was listening until I heard her having a conversation with her friends about chakras, which made me laugh. But then I thought, you know what, she's actually took it on board. And how healthy is that for her at her age?
Yeah.
To go through life knowing, so that's why I always say healing yourself heals your children as well.
So what are kind of some of the biggest, most important lessons that you've learned in life so far on your journey, which I wouldn't say is like the most common of journeys, but from what you've gone through so far?
I think the most recent lesson I've learnt is my self-worth. I didn't really look at it like that, because I always thought it was a bit of an ego thing. You know, I am this, I am that, and I've just said I'm a good person and I'm kind. I would not have said that to you 6 months ago. I would have just thought, well, I do what I do. I was very modest. But I have to give due to myself as well, and where credit's due, same as I would for anybody else. So I know my self-worth. I know what I bring to the table. And if that person doesn't accept me for who I am, or, you know, then that's fine. I'm not going to be judgmental about it. So I've learned that as well. I've learned just to be me, you know, no matter what. I'm always me, and I'm always going to be me. I'm never going to be anybody else, and I'm never going to be who you want me to be. That's been a big lesson as well, because we all think, oh, we shouldn't do this because of so-and-so saying this or doing that, or so we kind of stop ourselves and we put ourselves in that box, when really we know the reason why we're doing it, because it's what we want and it's our joy. As long as you're not doing anything to hurt anybody else, which I know I would never do that. So, yeah, things like that are quite deep, because, I mean, I never even thought about self-worth until I learned the lesson. So, you know, I wouldn't have even said that last year to you. So it is profound for me.
Potential Foundation, a non-profit initiative that I started with a mission to create opportunities and solutions for the less privileged communities in Africa. And we just started in Nigeria. So I would like to just ask for your support by simply clicking on the link above. You can donate any amount to help me and my team on our mission to spread love and make genuine impact in underprivileged communities in Africa and change people's lives. Thank you.
And now I have to go from that energy to creating another life, if you think about it, because I'm no longer who I was 12 months ago. So I have to embody that energy, and then go from there.
I think there's been a lot of insight, and a lot of people that are going to watch this are going to have either more questions, going to, have some confirmations.
Yeah.
Or it's going to inspire them to start their own journeys towards self-reflection and, that journey of being more connected to the spirit realm. What advice or what would you say to them starting their journeys off and starting to have those questions and going deeper into themselves? What kind of message do you have that would help?
Going deep within yourself, you will only do that if you've had a bad experience and something not nice has happened. So that would have to happen and take place first, because you will kind of get fed up of yourself, of putting up with whatever you're putting up with, or not doing what you think you should be doing and things like that. But always, I would say, you know yourself when you're changing, because you know something doesn't feel right. Your body will tell you that, or your mindset will tell you that. So you know you need to make a change. But be patient with yourself, because it's not going to come straight away. And I think the more patient you are and the more calm you are, the more it will just flow in. So be mindful of what's going on around and what changes you want to make, but also be realistic as well, because we can think a lot in our heads and think we want to be over here, but look at where we are now at the moment. But you just take the steps to get there. And sometimes it's baby steps, but your own self will tell you when a change needs to be made. So you've got to come from that place.
Okay, cool. And in terms of yourself, what is your current mission or goal, let's say? It doesn't have to be like just a personal one, but maybe one that's out. Like, what are you trying to achieve?
I'm not trying to achieve anything really. I just want to live my life in peace. And I just want to be, but I also want to help people. And if that means sharing my journey and I help one person, then I've done my job, haven't I? I don't base my worth on what society thinks I should be doing. I'm never going to do that because I'm going to suffer, and I'm not going to suffer.
And I guess the society's opinion changes all the time.
Well, yeah, it does. So, 1 minute you're up here, next minute you're down there. So why are you going to be putting your self-worth and your power into someone else's hands? I don't. I mean, I've done that. I've done it, and it never helped. So you have to have that power within yourself. And I just think, I'm here. I've come to the stage in life now. Well, yes, I do want to help people, but not to the detriment of myself, because I wouldn't be able to help anyone if I'd done that. And I just want to be at peace, and I want to be happy. And I've found that. And I want to be whole. No job is going to make me feel whole. No person's going to make me feel whole. It's only me who's going to make me feel whole. And that's not wanting anything from outside of myself. So, because I'm heading for a fall if I do that. And I'm going to keep suffering. And I haven't come here to suffer. Not this time round. So I look at it from a different perspective. I look at it from a higher perspective. Because I think when you base your worth on what job or what success rate you've got, you'll always be disappointed, or somebody will be disappointed in you, won't they? So no, I believe in being whole in what I've got around me, and I'm grateful for that, because I never had that 10 years ago. So it's a blessing.
So how do you manage kind of your schedule when it comes to doing readings? Is something like have you scheduled it like a 9 to 5, or or are you just like just the days you feel like it? Because I know obviously you have bookings in advance as well. So
yeah.
How are you scheduling it? Is there a limit?
I have a time in the morning when I start, and I have a time limit when I stop, because my daughter comes in from school at 3:20. So I want to give my time to my daughter, and that's what I do. Unless, like I said, if somebody comes and they really can't do it in them times, then I will go out of my way and do it. But I won't do it all the time, because then it becomes the norm. So I'll kind of, base it on that. I don't like to work Sundays, because I always say that's family time. But if I need to, or if, the children, or I say children, one of them's older now. She's still my little child anyway. But if they're at home, then I'll make sure I'm at home. But if they're not, then I would work, or I'd go out and do something for myself. So I kind of found the balance in that way. Because if you're worrying about money, if you're in a lack mindset, and if you're in a lack mindset, you're going to get lack. So I let go of it. And I always say the powers that be, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, will always provide. So I let go. Because you want to be here experiencing life and living life. You don't want to be running around in the rat race and getting headaches and making yourself ill. No. I've come to a place where I want peace. I want my children to have peace. And if you have to go through the rough to get to that, then so be it.
I have one more question. We probably should have asked it earlier on, but it's more about spirit guides.
Yeah.
maybe I'm trying to make everything, put everything into logic.
Yeah, but sometimes logic is good.
Yeah.
Logic is good. It's balance.
Yeah. And so when it comes to spirit guides, you know, we spoke about reincarnation.
Yeah.
Do we decide to be spirit guides? And how long are our spirit guides before they maybe say, okay, I'm not going to be a spirit guide anymore?
Yeah. Well, spirit guides are different guides, but in truth, all them guides are yourself. You know, first and foremost, those guides are you, part of you. You've just got to tap into that energy. And you will have different guides for different levels where you go. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like different levels of vibration.
Yep.
So the higher you go, a different guide will step in, what you need. And some of them guides might be animals.
Interesting.
You know, but they are all within yourself. But like we said before, you got to tap into that energy. But it's not for people. The truth is, it's there. It's whether you want to do that, whether you want to go down that road. You don't have to. You can go down a different road. There's no wrong or right. So it depends if you're interested. If you're interested in spiritualism, then you'll go down that road, won't you? But if you're not, then you won't. I see. This is where we get caught in that mindset of, should we be doing that? Well, if you're not interested and you don't like it, well, then no, you shouldn't be doing it. You've got to follow your joy, and you've got to let go of an outcome of whatever. Because I sat in circle. I didn't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now. I sat in there for peace, but we went deeper and deeper and deeper because I liked it. I wanted to follow it, but I could have followed something else, you know.
Wow, thank you so much. I think you probably answered my questions because I'm saying other people might have these questions, but these are the questions that I have. And I'm someone that wants to know the truth as well. I want to go deeper into spirituality and higher vibrations.
Yeah.
I'm also caught in life of being human and wanting material things and all of this, but I'm trying to balance it because life is life.
The secret is, what people don't realise is, once you find yourself, all that you want to manifest now will come with ease. Because if you don't work on yourself, it will come distorted and it will be taken away. Because it depends on your mindset. But if you're balanced, you're in alignment, you're basically healed from what you need, it will come. Then you have to have faith and trust. But instead of, you put the action out there, you let the universe know what you want, but then you let go. You don't keep saying then the next day, oh, it isn't here yet, or the next year it isn't here yet, because then you're keeping it in that lack mindset. You just put it out there and let it go, and it will come back.
Well, I definitely feel a lot more enlightened, and I do think that, you know, meeting you has definitely helped me lift myself into a higher vibration and a perception of things. And I hope this conversation is going to help a lot of people answer some questions and help them on a journey, or give them confirmation if they have any doubts, or, you know, they were lost. And hopefully more people reach out to you to speak to you as well if they feel like they need, they're in that place in their life where they need, you know. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Jay.
And yeah, I'm sure we're gonna meet soon, or speak soon, or sit down at some point again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.